I didn't even know she kept a box like that. It was duct-taped shut and buried behind our old tax files in the attic crawlspace. I was just trying to find a spare phone charger. That box changed everything. Inside were 18 letters, each written in Daphne's handwriting, her weird half-cursive that always tilted downhill. But they weren't to me. They were to someone named Clayton. Clayton. I've never met a Clayton in my life. And these weren't old letters from before we met. No. The most recent one was dated 11 days ago. It even had a lipstick mark on the edge, like something from a teen drama. Except Daphne's 36, and we've been married for 9 years. I sat on the attic floor with those letters shaking in my hands while our dog barked downstairs like everything was normal. Like my whole world hadn't just split open with a name. You know what the first line of the top letter said? I can't believe I'm still pretending to be his wife. I think I stopped breathing. I read through 3 before I couldn't anymore. She called him my real future. She said I was safe but dull. She said she hated how I over-explained things when I got nervous and how I folded socks like a sad camp counselor. Clayton, apparently, likes jazz and danger and makes her feel 17. I haven't made anyone feel 17 since I was 17. I didn't scream, didn't break anything. I just sat there stunned, sweating in a fiberglass coffin full of lies and cardboard. I wanted to confront her right then, but I didn't. Why? Because I'm Lowell, the guy who folds socks and apologizes for everything, even being alive sometimes. So I slid the box back where I found it. Quietly, like a coward. I didn't even ask her about the letters. Not that night. Not the next one. I started watching her instead. She hummed while she cooked, smiled when she texted, took longer showers, bought new lingerie, stuff I hadn't seen in years. She looked happy. Happier than I've seen her in months. And it wasn't because of me. That's when the silence started to eat me alive. She'd been ignoring me for months already, emotionally. But after those letters, every "hey babe" from her lips felt like a slap. Like she was playing house with a man she resented. So I did what I always do. I said nothing. I let her keep pretending. But I started planning. If she could write love letters to another man behind my back, I could write an exit plan behind hers. And when I left, when I vanished, I made sure she didn't get to say goodbye. Now she's the one searching. Now she sits with regret. And I still remember every word she wrote to him, especially the line that said, "He'll never find out." She was wrong. For 2 weeks after finding those letters, I became a ghost in my own home, haunting the kitchen, the hallway, the corners of our shared life. She didn't notice. Or maybe she did and didn't care. Either way, she kept playing the part of a loving wife. Only now I knew it was just a costume. A costume she slipped on like her mourning robe before pretending she loved me. Every time she kissed me on the cheek, I flinched. Every time she texted with a smile I didn't recognize, I logged the timestamp in my notebook. Yes, I started keeping notes. Lowell the sock folder, the over-apologizer, now secretly documenting his wife's betrayal like he was building a legal case. I kept track of every late night, every change in her routine. I even started checking her mileage when she left in rush hour clothes that looked more like midnight rendezvous outfits. And still, I said nothing. That's the part that haunts me the most. Not the betrayal itself, but how long I let it breathe under my roof. I let her make me invisible. I handed her the scissors and watched her snip me out of her life, one silent dinner at a time. But something in me snapped the day I found her suitcase hidden in the guest closet. Not packed with clothes, no. It had lingerie, perfume, extra phone chargers, and a man's dress shirt that definitely wasn't mine. I stared at it for 10 full minutes before closing the closet, walking into the kitchen, and calmly washing the coffee mug she left in the sink that morning like everything was fine. That night, I made my decision. If she didn't want me to exist, I would make it true. So I started emptying myself out of the house. Quietly, strategically, one drawer at a time. First the books, then the socks, then the USB drives. I began transferring money into a separate account she didn't know existed. I sold my guitar, the one she hated, and used the cash to rent a storage unit under a fake name. I deleted my social media. I gave my boss 2 months' notice without telling her. I even convinced my landlord to keep my name off the renewal. All while sleeping next to her like nothing was wrong. She kept texting during dinner, giggling into her wine glass, leaving the table to check emails. And I kept nodding, kept smiling like a broken wax figure. I let her believe she was getting away with it. that I was still the loyal idiot who folded her laundry with lavender dryer sheets and left sticky notes on her mirror. But inside, I was already gone. The day before I left, I made her breakfast, French toast with cinnamon like she used to love. She didn't eat it, just tapped her phone, laughed to herself, and left the plate untouched. That was the final nail. So the next morning, I vanished. No message, no note, no confrontation. Just the empty space where I used to sleep and a house suddenly too quiet. By the time she noticed, I was already a state away, watching her try to call me on repeat. Each call more frantic than the last. And guess what? I never said a word. Because now, she's the one living in silence. I didn't block her number. That would have been too easy. I wanted her to see my silence. I wanted her to send those messages, long, frantic, begging ones, and watch them get read but never answered. I wanted her to understand what it felt like to be invisible. For the first time, she'd feel it in her bones the way I had for years. And apparently, it didn't take long. On day 2 of my disappearance, she left 7 voicemails. They started off irritated. "Lol, what the hell is this? Is this one of your little dramatic phases?" But by the last one, her voice cracked. She said, "If you're trying to teach me a lesson, congratulations, okay? You did. Please just call me. Please." I almost caved. Almost. But then I remembered how she'd laughed through dinners and wrote letters to another man in the home I paid for. And I remembered the perfume on her neck that never came off for me. I checked our shared account that night. She hadn't spent $1. I knew she was frozen. Lost. The woman who once ignored me so effortlessly was now pacing the house alone with no idea where I went or why. But I wasn't done yet. On day 4, I returned to the city. Not to talk, just to observe. I parked in the Walgreens lot across from our condo, wearing a baseball cap and hoodie, watching from behind tinted glass. And there she was, my wife, Daphne the Unreachable, standing on the front steps, barefoot, hair a mess, talking to a delivery guy like she'd just come down from a panic attack. I watched her take a package, close the door, and then reappear seconds later, just standing there, looking left and right, like she thought I might walk back down the street with groceries and a dumb apology. I didn't. I just watched. That night, she called my sister, then my old boss, then a guy I hadn't spoken to since high school who somehow had my number saved as Lowell, quiet friend. She was scraping for clues. I smiled, alone in my motel bed, hearing her desperation seep through the walls of the life she once built without me in mind. Day 6, she went to the police. I found out from a mutual friend, said she reported me missing. Unusual behavior, she told them. Depressed lately. Possibly unstable. That last part burned. Unstable? I wasn't unstable when I packed her lunch and left gas in her car. I wasn't unstable when she rolled over in bed and turned her back for the 100th time without so much as a good night. But now that I was gone, now that I was silent, that's when I became a threat? No, I was done being her shadow. So I did something I never thought I would. I sent her a letter. No return address. No name. Just typed words on paper. You ignored me for years. Now you know what it feels like. You'll search, but you won't find me. And even if you did, you wouldn't recognize the man I've become. I didn't sign it. I didn't need to. She'd know. And based on the explosion of text that followed 2 days later, she definitely did. That was the first time she said, "Please come home." Too late. I wasn't hers anymore. There's something about betrayal that makes you want to witness it with your own eyes, even if you already know the truth. I'd read the letters. I'd seen the patterns. But part of me still needed to see them together. Not out of curiosity, out of closure. So on the 8th day after I vanished, I returned to our street again, this time after midnight, walking along the back alley behind our building like a criminal casing his own home. From behind the trash bins, I had a clear view of the kitchen window. It was dark except for a single light above the stove, and there she was, Daphne, wearing the same oversized hoodie she used to steal from me when we were first married. But this time, she wasn't alone. A tall man stood behind her. I couldn't see his face, but the way he placed his hand on the small of her back made my stomach turn. My blood ran cold not because I didn't expect it, but because of how comfortable they looked. Like I had been gone for years, not days. Like the house had already been reshaped around someone new. I wanted to storm in. I wanted to drag them both outside and scream, "This is who you threw everything away for?" But I didn't. I stayed crouched in the shadows like the joke I'd become, watching as they opened a bottle of wine and toasted something I didn't care to understand. When he went upstairs, yes, my stairs, I waited until she was alone in the kitchen again. Then I did something reckless. I stepped out from the alley and knocked once, just once, on the glass of the window. She froze. Her eyes snapped toward the sound. She couldn't see me in the dark, but her expression shifted from confusion to horror. She knew. I stepped back before she could get closer, disappearing into the alley as I heard the sliding glass door unlock behind me. I didn't stop walking until I was a mile away, heart pounding so hard it echoed in my ears. The next morning, she called me 37 times. Then she left a voicemail that I listened to over and over. Lowell, please, if that was you, if you were there, I swear to you, it wasn't what it looked like. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't want him. I need to see you. Please come back. Please talk to me. I'm sorry. It wasn't what it looked like. Then what was it? A therapy session in lingerie? I didn't answer. I didn't text. But I sent one photo, just one. A close-up of her love letter to Clayton with her handwriting and lipstick stain in full view. I sent it with no caption, no follow-up, no explanation. She didn't call again for hours. Then came the storm. She accused me of spying, of breaking into her private things. She raged through texts like a wildfire she couldn't put out. She flipped between guilt and fury like someone unhinged. You don't get to twist things around, she wrote. You disappeared. You left. What did you expect me to do? I wanted to laugh. I wanted to cry. She had rewritten the script in her mind so fast. She'd forgotten how the story started. As if I had left because I was the problem. As if the letters didn't exist. As if I was the villain for watching the fire she started. So I ghosted her again. Fully. No replies. No signals. Just void. And now? Now I could feel her unraveling. This wasn't about love anymore. It was about control. And the one thing Daphne could never handle was being ignored back. I hadn't told anyone in my family where I was. Not even my brother, Harlan, who used to jokingly call Daphne the queen of iced stairs. He never liked her. Said she talked to me like I was a pet she didn't remember adopting. I used to defend her. I thought he was being harsh. Now I wonder how many people saw what I couldn't. Anyway, Harlan works at a body shop about 45 minutes from where I'd holed up. The kind of place where nobody talks unless it's about carburetors or football. So when Daphne walked in, makeup smudged, clutching her phone, asking for me by name, she might as well have been speaking Greek. Harlan texted me that same hour. Your wife's here. Says it's urgent. I didn't tell her a damn thing. That shook me. I'd expected her to spiral, sure, but not to go there. Not to drag herself into the last place she'd ever willingly stepped foot. She once told me Harlan's shop smelled like rust and wasted ambition. But now she was standing in it, breathing that air, trying to track me like a woman on the edge of a nervous breakdown. What scared me most was the voice memo she left on my burner that night. Her tone had changed. It wasn't just desperation. It was disbelief. The kind of voice someone uses when the game flips on them and they realize they've lost. Lowell, she whispered. I know you hate me. I know I ruined everything. But I've never felt this kind of silence before. You always came back. You always forgave me. This isn't you. Please, please just let me see you one more time. Even if you never speak to me again, just let me see your face. I can't sleep. I can't eat. You win. You win, okay? But I didn't want to win. That was never the point. I just wanted her to feel it. Feel what it's like when someone stops being your emotional punching bag and becomes a ghost who no longer dances to your tune. Still, her showing up at my brother's work set off alarms. It meant she was willing to knock on doors now. That she was done pretending this was just a fight. That she was spiraling. And spiraling people are unpredictable. So I took precautions. I left the motel and moved into a temporary rental under a fake name. Used cash. Switched phones again. I cut ties with anyone who might slip, even accidentally. I went full shadow mode. But here's where it got truly twisted. 3 days later, Harlan called me again. You're not gonna believe this, he said. She's back. With a guy? What guy? I asked, already knowing the answer. He paused. I don't know his name. Tall. Tries too hard. Smells like expensive soap. Said he's her friend, helping her search. Clayton. It had to be. She brought him? To my brother? That was when it hit me. She wasn't just looking for me anymore. She was trying to rewrite the narrative. If she could frame this as a concerned, Heartbroken wife searching for her mentally unstable husband. Then she wouldn't be the villain. She'd be the victim. And Clayton? Just the loyal confidant helping her put the pieces back together. I could almost hear her saying it to people. Lowell just snapped. He wasn't doing well. I tried so hard to hold the marriage together, but he kept pulling away. It made me sick. She wasn't trying to find me. She was trying to erase what she did. I knew right then what I had to do next. But it wasn't going to be loud. It was going to be surgical. I never planned on contacting her again, not directly. But after she showed up at my brother's job with her so-called friend, I realized that staying silent wasn't enough anymore. Daphne was trying to rewrite the past, to scrub out the betrayal, the gaslighting, the letters to Clayton, all of it, and turn herself into the abandoned, loyal wife. It wasn't just insulting. It was dangerous. Because if she said it enough times, someone might believe her. People do that. They side with the loudest grief, not the truest one. So I decided to remind her, and anyone else who might start believing her version, exactly what she'd done. I didn't send a rant. I didn't send a voicemail. I sent a carefully edited 2-minute video file. It opened with a slow pan of the box I'd found in our attic. I filmed it from overhead, no narration. Just the sound of paper rustling as I flipped through letter after letter addressed to Clayton. I didn't show her name or mine, but I did show her handwriting, her dates, her closing lines. The one that read, "The life I have is stable. The life I want is you." The second half of the video cut to the suitcase in the guest closet. I zoomed in on the men's dress shirt, then the perfume bottle, then the receipt tucked into the pocket from a motel 20 miles away. The timestamp read 3 weeks before I vanished. The final shot was simple, the bedroom light on, the sheets rumpled, and my wedding ring placed on the pillow. That was it. No words, no face, just facts. I uploaded it to a private cloud link and texted it to her burner number. I knew she'd click. Curiosity's a cruel drug, and I made sure I'd be nearby to watch her reaction in real time. Yes, I stalked my own wife. Call it what you want. I called it justice. She was staying in a temporary rental on the west side by then. I parked across from the complex and waited. I knew the layout well. My friend Roy used to live there years ago. The windows all faced the main street. At exactly 6:14 p.m., her living room light switched on. A minute later, I saw the bluish glow of a screen against the blinds. She was watching. 10 seconds in, she stood up. At 30 seconds, she covered her mouth. By the end of it, she staggered back like she'd been hit. Her knees buckled, and she sat on the floor, clutching her phone like it might explain itself. And that, right there, was the moment it stopped being a game. She called me 5 times in the next 10 minutes. I let them ring. Then she sent a message that said, "Please, I need to talk. I messed up. I know that now. You don't understand how lonely I was. I never meant to hurt you. I was stupid. I miss you. I miss us. Then, can you at least tell me where you are? Then, I'll do anything. Just talk to me." And then nothing. The silence stretched into the night. For the first time, I had all the power, and I hated how good it felt. But I wasn't finished. Not yet. Because if she thought a few tears and a confession would buy back the years she spent erasing me from her life, she still didn't understand what she'd truly lost. I could have let her sit in that silence. I really could have. But Daphne wasn't done. She wasn't just desperate to get me back. She was desperate to repair her image. And I learned the hard way that when someone like her loses control, she doesn't take responsibility. She creates a new version of the story, one where she's the misunderstood, heartbroken wife, and I'm the unstable, reclusive man who couldn't handle a strong woman. I wasn't prepared for what happened next. It started with a friend of mine, an old coworker who texted me out of nowhere. "Hey man, I think your ex just told her side of things on a podcast." I didn't believe it until I looked it up. Sure enough, there she was, Daphne, in the thumbnail of a local relationship podcast called Modern Marriages, Modern Messes. I hit play, heart pounding, palms already sweating. She was charming, calm, even vulnerable. She talked about how some men shut down instead of speaking up, and how emotional abandonment can feel worse than betrayal. She never said my name, but the timeline she gave, the vague references, the fact that she woke up one day and he was gone, no note, no warning, no goodbye. It was me. It was us. And then she said the thing that nearly made me put my fist through the motel dresser. I tried everything to reach him. I even showed up to his family's place. I cried. I begged. But you can't force someone to be present. I just hope he's okay wherever he is. I was shaking. Not from sadness, from rage. She knew what she'd done. She knew who Clayton was. She knew about the lies and the letters and the suitcase. And yet there she was, painting herself as the victim on a podcast that probably had 20 listeners. But it wasn't the size of the audience that mattered. It was the principle. She wasn't just rewriting the story for the public. She was doing it for herself. So she could sleep better. So she could look in the mirror and say, I tried. That's when I realized something. She'd never admit the truth. Not even to herself. People like her don't feel guilt the way we do. They feel inconvenience. Regret. Maybe, but only because they got caught or lost something they thought would always be there. So I sent her one final message. Not a letter. Not a voicemail. A private video link to a new recording. This time, with my voice in it. I kept it short. 1 minute. Just me, sitting in front of the camera. I said, you spoke your truth. Now let me speak mine. I was there, Daphne. I was there every single day. I waited. I begged. I stayed. And you didn't see me. You wrote to him while I warmed your car. You lied while I built a life around your silence. You're not heartbroken. You're humiliated. You lost me, not because I disappeared, but because you were never looking for me in the first place. And then I ended it with a smile, tight, tired, and free. I clicked send and logged out of that account for good. I don't know if she cried. I don't know if she threw her phone across the room or showed it to Clayton or replayed it 100 times until she memorized every pause in my voice. But I know one thing. She watched it. Because 10 minutes later, the video was marked as viewed, and she's never messaged me again since. Not once. That silence. That was my real closure. A month passed after the video. Not a single text. Not a missed call. Not one please. Not one where are you? And for the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for one. I didn't realize how much of my life had been spent in the shadows of her silence, tiptoeing around the coldness, trying to earn a smile, trying to matter. And when she finally stopped reaching for me, when she finally let the silence settle between us like a final curtain drop, I thought I'd feel empty. I thought I'd feel loss. But instead, I felt light. The motel gave way to a tiny sublet by the coast, 2 hours away from the city. Nothing fancy, just a second-floor unit that smelled like old pine wood and ocean air, with creaky floors and a balcony where I could actually hear myself think. I started waking up without a knot in my chest. Started reading again. Started cooking for myself. Real meals, not microwaved ones I used to plate for two even when I ate alone. And I met people. Not anyone romantic, at least not yet. But people who saw me. People who didn't look through me. A woman at the bookstore named Maxine who always asked about my dog. Yes, I adopted one. A wiry terrier named Buck who growls at empty trash cans. A barista who remembers my name and how I take my coffee. A landlord who texts memes. Small things. But things that made me feel real again. I even picked up a side gig fixing up old laptops for a local nonprofit. Turns out, when you're not being slowly erased by someone who's supposed to love you, you actually remember who you are. As for Daphne, I don't know where she is now. I don't care. Maybe she's still with Clayton. Maybe she's alone. Maybe she tells people I vanished and leaves out the parts she doesn't like. That's fine. Let her have her version. I have mine. The truth is, she ignored me for years, not because I was invisible, but because she chose not to see me. She thought I'd never leave, never change, never wake up. But I did. And when I finally stopped begging for her attention, I found something I'd been missing all along. Myself. I don't check her social media. I don't Google her name. I don't replay her voicemails or scroll through old texts. Those days are gone. I buried them with the man who used to fold her socks and wonder what he did wrong. That man's not here anymore. He left quietly, yes. But he found something louder than revenge. He found peace.